Anyone opposed, here to speak opposed to House Bill 1351, the substitute? Delegate Watts, any final thoughts? Brief final thoughts?
No, I hope it's being done everywhere. This puts it in code that it is to be done.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
a
Delegate.
question for the patron. What if, the emergency department staff isn't available, there's an emergency and it's moving forward? I mean, this says that they shall consult. What if we just heard from the one from CSB saying, well, we talk with whomever will talk with us. What if they can't seem to arrange that conversation?
As council is drafting it, in concept, the idea, that's where the as available. But CSB must make an affirmative outreach when you know that someone has presented at the emergency, department, in a possible crisis, to obtain that medical information as part of your evaluation of whether you go forward in pursuit of an order. But that's as available will be part of the language. It's not well placed in this draft.
So any motion would be with the understanding, if this were to move forward, that the final language would be before us, tomorrow at our full.
I think I've got it. I can do it from here.
Okay, so, and this would need to go to appropriations if we have a motion.
Madam Chair, I'm gonna make a motion, it's not gonna be a report, it's gonna be a continuance, and the reason why is I know that this has been discussed in the work group, and I know there's a conflict with it. I did support Delegate Aaron has her bill to put a work group together to study this. It went to the Joint Rules Committee, hasn't been acted on, I just looked, and I'm actually her chief co-patron. That's how I prefer to approach this, not to do this approach. I think we need to take a step back and have all the the people, the proper stakeholders in the room to develop. I'm hopeful that Delegate Aird's bill will actually develop a work group and I think if this subcommittee sends a message that we're gonna continue this bill, we can take it up next year, and hopefully we have something that all stakeholders can get behind. So that's my motion. I may be the only one that makes it.
Is there a second? Okay, motion fails for lack of a second. Oh, I'm so sorry, I thought you said no second. Okay, so the motion to, continue, and with the letter?
It could be with a letter. I don't know what Delegate Aaron's bill is going to do. I would love for it to pass because it actually makes this happen.
So-
Chair, I'm sorry,
Delegate Bell?
I don't know what this is. The motion's before us. May I inquire of the patron if this is what her preference is for that?
Sure.
It would not be my preference
We're not having
because
good
of the
eye
very
contact, not
narrow
executive
carve-out
interest.
that this represents. We have been told that it's being done in most cases. It certainly is responsible medical care, broadly defined mental health, physical health. It's being done, this solidifies that you have the responsibility to, again, because so many present in the emergency room. And that nexus between the CSB and the emergency room, very narrow nexus, but very critical that it be made in cases where people are in mental crisis or possibly not. And that also, I think, is enhanced by this bill.
And I'll go on and say that I'm inclined to support that motion. I support this in concept, but in learning about the differences between a full deeds commission recommendation and work group, I do have some reservations there. But it's been moved and properly seconded for House Bill 1351 to be continued to our 2021, based on other legislation passed, potentially with a letter from the chair. So clerk will open the rolls.
Madam Chair, I think
Oh,
it's
I'm
voice-
sorry, it is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, and so the ayes have it, and so that will be, our recommendation. Thank you. Guys, we have about 15 minutes before we have to go.
Thank you, and they're very simple. The only request was actually that perhaps the staff should provide the two into one, which is the same.
But you guys also have one line in it that is currently our last number of draft.
All of, any objection to the chair, which I don't They were full committee.
Okay.
They were full.
Delegate Hope has two and Delegate Beck has two.
But we had taken,
Something behind it.
have we started with that one too?
There's two pending and then we lost.
Okay, Delegate Bell,
Madam Chairman, there's a line amendment that staff was presented with by the department.
to which one?
I'm sorry, House Bill 1118.
Yes.
Okay, 1118 is now before us, Delegate Bell.
Madam Chair, I would ask staff to bring the line amendment from the department.
And this is, it's a technical amendment that was a drafting error. Don't know what happened. On line 51, after, strike and emergency custody at the beginning of that line and insert a temporary detention. We'll make the same change on line 195. Should be referring to a temporary detention order instead of an emergency custody order.
Madam Chair, this is literally,
Delegate Lau.
this is technical. and it's-
Okay.
We need it for the TDOs, not the ECOs.
Is there a motion?
I so moved.
Okay, is there a second? The line amendments have been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? So the bill as amended is before us.
Madam Chair, these address two aspects of the same issue. So one of the surprisingly complicated problems is someone has been declared appropriate for TDO, and the transportation of that person from where the decision is made to the state instance facility can be very hard. You've got to get a deputy to go. In many instances, a family member or someone else is actually available, and everybody agrees it would be appropriate. And so that's something we've been trying to encourage. However, there's two instances where there's a problem. The first would be halfway through that process, the friend or family member concludes that they're no longer actually able to do it. So you might visualize someone who's doing pretty well in the emergency room, and dad says, yeah, I can get to the hospital 20 minutes away. The kid jumps out of the car or something. That's what House Bill 1118 would provide, is for the minors being transported. The second is where, unrelated but similar issue, where they discover a better bed. So they're driving 5 hours across the state, and 20 minutes in, somebody says, holy moly, we found a place just over the mountain. We want to be able to change the TDO kind of in transit and get the person to the closer place. We did them separately they're both fully endorsed by the Deeds Commission, full vote, everything considered. And my request would be that before we get to full committee, just, they're pretty close enough to combine into one bill. So I would ask that we, pass them both for the full committee. They don't need to be referred.
We reported out of here as a substitute combining the two
There we go.
bills.
Okay.
That's, and I so.
I move the substitute.
I would so move.
Okay, so it's been moved and properly seconded. Would be able to be 1118?
Whichever is easier.
I wrote it on the top of 118 since.
Okay, for House Bill 1117 to be incorporated into 1118. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that 1117 has been incorporated into 1118.
It'll be a substitute. I don't think so. Lost my list.
Madam Chair, I have a question for the patron.
Delegate Levine.
Madam Chair, I'd ask the patron, it says that if the alternative transportation provider becomes unable to continue providing transportation, I understand this is often a parent, family member, friend of someone undergoing a crisis. Who determines that the parent or friend is unable to continue? How is that determination made? Because I understand that if someone's undergoing a mental health crisis, sometimes law enforcement can exacerbate that crisis rather than mitigate it, and we wouldn't want them to intervene too quickly. So how is that determination made?
I think what you're asking is actually the flip, is how do you get approved for this in the first place? And this was something that is, I don't know if it's in this code section or not, but there's a, let's see, I might ask staff, there's a place where they can make a determination as part of the TDO process, and someone else can take.
Right, that's the way you see that.
Take the person. Obviously, that's entirely with the consent, this is not a law enforcement, this is just somebody, and it's
Right.
almost always gonna be sibling or parent who says, I can manage. But I would suggest that at any time the person driving says, look, I don't feel comfortable, we want that to then recede to the default, there's no.
Well, I guess the word I'm looking at is unable to continue. You know, is that the alternative transportation provider saying they are unable? I wouldn't want law enforcement to suddenly presume they're unable and step in.
Are we going over the objection of the?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see where that, I mean, on this code and,
Well,
I-
it could be a broken, I'm remembering some of the alternatives, could be a broken down car, it could be a decompensating person in the back seat. It could be you think you can take you say, I can get this done, and the judge takes a look and says, no, I'm sorry, you can follow behind the police car, but I no longer think that this is possible. Actually, we keep saying police car. One of the exciting new things is a transportation process I hope you looked at last year, where it's not even it's a locked seat with a grill, but doesn't have sirens.
I guess my question for the patron, Madam Chair, is if the judge has said that friend or family member can take this person, shouldn't it be the friend or family member that asks for help from law enforcement rather than law enforcement deciding on its own to basically overrule what the court and the person decided? I
I'm
just wanna make
smiling
sure.
only because law enforcement is desperate to get out of this in every possible conceivable, this is something
Right,
that
you
they are
don't
very
want-
uncomfortable doing, they don't think it's part of law enforcement, they feel like a very expensive taxi cab. I'm happy to do that, but I think that in reality, I think it's going to be the parents really wanna make it happen, sometimes they can't. I suppose you could have the kid kicking out the back of the window, and a deputy comes and says, I know you think you can manage it, but it doesn't look like it's working.
I think that actually an easy line amendment would say determines, if an alternative provider determines they are unable. In other words, it would be up to the alternative transportation provider to decide that they are unable, rather than, because otherwise it becomes unable, I'm not sure who's making the determination.
Madam Chair, I don't hate the idea. I do think there will be times that the parent is more hopeful than realistic about how they're doing, at which point somebody could step in. I've got somebody here who's might be
I don't have an easy answer either, I just don't want
Did you wanna-
law enforcement to intervene unless they absolutely have to.
So, since law enforcement has been brought into the conversation,
Sure.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I'm John Jones, representing the Sheriff's Association. We do hundreds of these things every day. It's a good bill. My vision of the bill is that if there's a problem that occurs during this transport, say the person becomes violent, if it's a alternative provider under our contract, and the person becomes violent, currently, there's a void. The person would have to, the alternative transportation provider would have to simply call 911. The local police would show up, and you start the process all over again. You don't really need to do all of that if you have this bill. The alternative transportation provider can call law enforcement. We pick up the transportation and don't go through the evaluations again and continue to take the person where he needs to go. Madam Chairman and members of the committee, pursuant to what I'm saying, I think it would clean it up a little bit if we put primary local law enforcement in the fourth section, so that it would be a law enforcement officer that's on duty, that's calling. It wouldn't be like a city sheriff that wouldn't have a deputy on patrol. So that would, most of these would be situations where, it's going on, it's happening, the transport's going on, something needs to be done right now.
Is there a motion to that effect?
And that would be on line 52, 149, 196.
Inserting the word primary. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded for a line amendment, or it'll still be within the substitute to add in primary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, so that has been added.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, I have a question for the patron as well. So let's say this kind of audible is being called because the situation changed. If that alternative transportation provider is not the parent, does this provide that the parent would be consulted, or would
Well,
they be informed?
So, Madam Chair, we keep saying child, it doesn't have to be a 14-year-old. We looked at 117 or 118.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at 1118 line 50.
So 1118.
So that is for the minors, so.
Right, yeah, it doesn't cover minors.
See, I guess, no ma'am, there's no specific grant. Now, the parents are supposed to be part of the TDO process, so, in Newport News, the person is brought in and there's a TDO and the judge, as best they can, it's all very quick, you got 8 hours to assemble the information, makes a determination that it's necessary to transport the person to where they're gonna be for the next 72, and then so that we figure out the commitment process. And the default is you put them in a deputy's car and off they go. Everything has been an effort to try to reduce that as much as we can, while not presuming that everything works out. And so, last year we had again the issue, but that was the first one, was we said, okay, if everybody's agreed, and it's not up to the parents, so it's not up to the law enforcement. The magistrate would say, okay, Ms. Price, your daughter, you got this, you got this, daughter, you're okay with mom, it doesn't have to be that way, but everybody's kind of, I think we can manage this for the next couple of hours. The concern of here was just sometimes there's changes along the way. This is all being done, 4 in the morning, lickety split, trying to throw something together as quick as we can so we don't have the, what we call the deeds problem, which is just kind of no bad. With all that, no, we could certainly have them call back, hey, if it's not the parent, we could have them notify that, we're now, I think, different news to somewhere far away. If you go to Western State and you're in Albemarle County, and somebody says, oh my goodness, we're pulled over in the rest stop and just outside Charlottesville, and she's screaming in the backseat and kicking at the windows, we're gonna call the local sheriff's office or the PD. It's gonna be hard, I mean.
No, I think this may be something that's being discussed in the Senate right now too.
Okay.
This companion bill.
Madam Chair, and what I'd call a 1056 problem,
Yep.
which would be, I am happy to continue these, I'm happy to do it right now, I'm aware that there's someone else who has bills before the subcommittee, so I'm happy to proceed over the chair wishes. But I believe we can certainly that without any issues. I don't actually see the way to get to what you're getting at quite as easily, because I do think there's
My way to get it is simply to say that the alternative transportation provider determines they are enabled, rather than.
And I would say that's not always that's why I think it's more complicated, because there will be times when the parent says, I still got this, and the kid is running, 50 yards through the woods, and somebody says, I don't think you do, I know you mean you do, I know you think you do, but he's gonna hang himself, and we're kind of in this spot where, in theory, law enforcement was supposed to do it in the first place, until somebody kind of agreed to this weird.
Yeah.
I can't think of another setting where we say, we'll let a private citizen do this, but we do it because it's such a hurdle.
So I just wanna make sure, did you say that you were amenable to some language
Oh,
that
sure,
the
I
parent
think
would
that's
be
easy,
notified?
yeah.
Okay.
This is a little harder, I'm trying to be fair with everybody, I'm trying to.
I'm just trying to avoid where they're not necessary. Sometimes a parent can deal with it, someone who's in trouble much more easily than law enforcement.
Well, you could have in my head, I know the moving parts, you could have reconvene TDO, you could have everybody go back
Yeah, no,
to another place.
I'm not
We're just trying to get in the hospital, because this is all the transit stage.
So I'm hearing that you're amenable to the parental
Yes, ma'am.
consent, not so much amenable to the other.
That's the idea, but I don't know.
So, do we need to adopt, amend the concept? We don't have to.
Just record it as a substitute.
Okay.
I'll put everything in there.
And I would move the chairman's motion to notify parents when this happens in concept. I don't have the word in my head.
Okay, and so with that, we have the substitute in front of us. I do apologize, but I'm gonna ask for all of those that are in favor of this bill would raise their hand. And if there's anyone opposed, that they would raise their hand.